going on, everybody? Good to see you. Good to be hanging. I've got some good questions to answer. Um, it's funny. It's like I could do. Well, first of all, I'm using a new audio setup. So if it sounds funny, leave me a comment. Hopefully, it's coming through okay for you. Trying to get the audio quality of these fuckers better, so you guys can have a bit of a better experience. Um, it's funny that like I've done over 1,000 shows, so many live streams. I am a working musician that survived the pandemic and the lockdown, so done hundreds of live streams and all that sort of stuff. But I still get butterflies when I do anything live, including the weekly folk guitar masterclass mentorship group calls. These so. Um, I think I started to realize that I'm addicted to that feeling of performance butterflies. And even low key things like this, they still give it to me. So, all right, it is June 6th, and it is 2:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming at you from deep in the woods of Connecticut in the U.S., and it is a beautiful, hot, humid, pollen-filled, sneezy day here in New England. But I'm here in my cool, dry, dehumidified basement cave where I'm always coming to you from, whether it's in an email or in a social media post or one of these live things. I'm always here with my trusty Neil Young live with the Santa Monica Flyers. Tonight's the Night Tour, my Radiohead Kid A poster, and my complete Bob Dylan book right there. my three companions. So let's get right into these questions here. But first, I want to mention, as always, my co-host Lakeland, my baby girl, who is sleeping in her crib. Her nap time is from 12:30 until 3:30. So she is a champion sleeper, very dependable. Knock on wood. Murphy's Law dictates that she's going to wake up. But she's always here as our co-host. And if you notice throughout the call, that's her sleepy time music. And I got to say, that little loop of music, it repeats about every 15 seconds. And this girl is so enamored by this song. She wants it on when she's sleeping overnight. During her sleeps overnight. She wants it on during her naps. Like, I'm worried that it's going to bruise her brain hearing one single melody on repeat so many hundreds of times every day. If anybody's got any backup evidence that could be possible, please let me know. I'm looking to preserve my baby girl's sanity. But until then, she doesn't let us turn it off. She loves it. So anyways, if you hear that twinkling through, that's what that is. All right, let's dive into this. And for anybody that shows up live, please feel free to drop a question in the comment. But I got some really great ones via email. Steve from Portland. Dude, I lived in Portland for a year. So when I was 20 years old, my band went on tour. It was the shittiest book tour ever. We booked it all ourselves, and it was the full US tour. And the shows were so terrible that by the second week, when we finally got to Portland, sometime in the second week, we were like, wherever the first place is that we sell more than $50 in merch, we're gonna buy a house here and move here. We were just jackasses, and sure enough, we played Portland, and we made $53 in merch that night. And the next day, we got a house in northeast Portland near the university, right near the Bluff, and we lived there for a year and had one of the best years of our lives. That was 2004. Love Portland. So, anyways, that's my jackass 20-year-old in a hardcore band story about Portland. Okay, so Steve, you said I want to release music, feeling really overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so first things first, that is totally normal. And I don't want you to feel like, what do they call it? Terminal uniqueness. Like you're the only person that feels this way. So I think the best way to think about getting started in this process, or even if anybody's listening and they have released music before or whatever, this advice, what I'm about to say, is for people that are in any stage of this process. You should think about your release, your music journey, songwriting and sharing journey as like a cycle, and not necessarily as like a checklist. And so what I mean by that is that there is like sort of there's a season for all these different parts of this cycle, and I think about it in this order. And of course, it just keeps going around and around. There's write, record, release, and promote. And release and promote, they kind of like overlap because sometimes because pretty much all the time, depending on your goals, you promote just before you release, so it kind of, yeah. Um, so my thought is don't try to do it all at once. I think I think it's really helpful to do this um, one season at a time. Even if those seasons are short, it's a good idea to do them one at a time. And so, for example, you could, if you only wanted to write one song and then release one, if you're only like releasing one song at a time, maybe you spend a couple weeks getting a song up to speed. So that's phase one. You can do that. Anybody can do that. And then the second phase would be documenting the song. So recording it. Do you record at home? Or do you need to hire somebody to help you? Do you need to go to a studio? But that would be the second phase of the process. And then comes the release phase where you're uploading your track, you are getting it to distributors, aggregators like TuneCore or DistroKid. You are getting your artwork ready. You are in the beginning phases. This is where the promotion and the release kind of cross over each other. They overlap. You are in the, maybe the 2 weeks before the release date. Maybe you are dropping hints about it on your social media, or you are letting friends and family know about it, or you have a pre-save campaign, a Spotify pre-save campaign. Then you drop the track, and then comes the full-on promotion phase. And this is where people like really drop the ball because it's really uncomfortable for us as artists. We feel really kind of icky about raising our hand and being like, "Hey, I made this thing and I think it's pretty good. Do you? I think you like it. You should listen to it." For whatever reason, we have a hard time with that. And what we end up doing is the first three phases: write, record, release, and then we skip the fourth one. And what that means is you just end up releasing a song into the fucking void. Nobody hears it. You get bummed out. You don't get any feedback. You start to naturally feel like your music's not good. Otherwise, people will be listening to it. It's not worth it. Nobody cares about what I have to say. I'm not any good. None of those things are true. It's just that you are like almost every other artist and you don't like the process of promoting and you didn't do it. And then your song fell flat. And then it's a negative feedback cycle, or a positive feedback cycle, or whatever the fucking biology term is that it just compounds on itself. So you you get bad results, you're less likely to do it the next time. So, and it just results in just you never release music. So um, what matters, I think, is just the momentum of keeping the wheel of that cycle moving, and not necessarily uh, the speed. Like you could do it really slow. There are artists, you could do a new song every 3 months. Like that would be sick. Imagine at the end of every year you've got four new songs. That would be really really cool. Some people do it a lot. with a lot more speed. They do it maybe a song a month or whatever, but whatever works for your life. So it's about just keeping momentum. And again, it doesn't need to be fast momentum, just any kind of consistent momentum, and not about perfection. All right. So every song you release, you're going to get better at the process, every part of the process. So don't get hung up on perfection. A song is never really truly done. Like, you listen to classic songs, there's mistakes in them, their kind of performances might have issues or whatever. So like, don't get hung up on perfecting a song. Like, I know people that have, they've got like an EP that they've been, I was thinking about one buddy, he's got an EP he's been working on for like 7 years, and it breaks my heart because it's like, you've got something to say. These songs mean something to you. They probably are going to mean something to other people. And your fear is keeping you from releasing them and tweaking them. And there's another mix. I updated this, whatever. And it's just like, dude, just get it out so you can move on to the next one. Please don't be that person. I chose some of these questions because I've got some shameless plugs here. I'm trying very hard not to be the musician that feels ashamed about plugging my own stuff too. So I said it last time. Baby's got to eat. So I'm going to be making some more noise about my singer-songwriter milestone mentorship soon. So the deal with that is that I help people who are serious, like the intermediate and the advanced people who want to level up through either co-writing to make your songs feel more polished and you keep 100% of the rights, feedback on your lyrics or your melodies, performance coaching, or guidance and accountability through every step of that songwriter cycle so that you can be on track and stay with it consistently. If that's of any interest to you, just reach out, or you'll see some emails in the coming weeks and months about it. But I just wanted to mention it. Okay, so thank you for that question. And hit me up if you got any questions, any follow-ups about that. All right. Cool. So let's go on to the next one. Lakeland said, good question, Steve. All right. Erica from Australia. You know, it is so awesome that there are so many Australian folks in this community, and a couple folks from New Zealand. It's just like, I absolutely adore that. And there's European folks, a lot of folks from the UK and Germany, as well as a lot of folks from the United States. I'm just honored. I really am. I just love this. So thank you. A lot of gratitude. I had no idea when I started this thing about a year and a half ago that it would turn into this. And yeah, I'm just a happy troll in a basement. So thank you guys. All right. So this question here. Okay. So the chords that I'm using in my songs make everything sound the same. Okay. So I assume that, and then she follows up, how do I get out of that? So I assume that you're talking about sort of like feeling like you're stuck in a typical major scale, using kind of like the same chords in the basic major scale. You're not here in the live, so that's all good. If you end up watching this and you got a follow up, just let me know. And if for whatever reason you happen to show up in the middle of this, just leave a comment. But I'm going to run with this, assuming that that's what you mean, that you are using the typical major scale for your songs and everything's kind of coming out sounding the same. So in this follow-up question, sometimes I use weird chords randomly, but how do I know if the weird chord I wrote actually works? And you've got some brackets around the works part. Okay, so first things first, I just want to mention that thousands and thousands of our favorite songs, of hit songs, they use only the chords from your typical major scale. And just to kind of give people an idea, if you're watching this, about what I mean by that, in a typical major scale, let's say the G scale, your first chord is a major chord. Your second chord is a minor chord. Your 3 is minor. Your 4 is major. Your 5 is major. Your 6 is major. Your 7 is diminished. And you're back to 1, the major. Okay, so basically think of every, in this, and that goes for any key, any major key. Your 1, your 4, and your 5 are major. Everything else is minor. And that 7 chord is a special kind of minor called a diminished chord. You feel it kind of wants to lead back up into the 1. Like magnetic pull. Okay, so there's some really cool theory that most people kind of think is like witchcraft and wizardry that explains why that happens, but actually the system that guides that framework is very, very simple. And once you know it, you can tweak it and mess with it and make it your own, and you can break the rules. We're going to get into that in just a second. But the first thing I wanted to say to you is that thousands of songs don't break those rules. And just a huge portion of the tunes that have shaped our musical culture, they don't mess with those rules. And they rely on melody, lyrical melody, or vocal melody, or lyrics, or phrasing, or instrumentation, or vibe, or just the artist's personality to make the song shine. So sometimes it's just personality and your unique voice that can make a song shine, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like interesting, surprising chords. But that being said, if you have all of those elements and you also have the ability to create a surprising chord progression as well, if you have those tools in your tool belt, then you can like really create some fucking awesome stuff. We're talking like Tom York, Paul McCartney, Grateful Dead, like so many artists that have the tools. They know how to break out of that basic major scale. So what a lot of times they're using, kind of what I consider to be a songwriter's secret weapon, is modes or modal theory. And it's just sort of like that's the overall term given to it. And a lot of people, either they've never heard of it, or they think that it's just like, that is way beyond where I'm at. That's just like the craziest songwriter theory. And I don't even know where to begin. But really, all modes is just an alternate way, a framework, an alternate way to play major and minor scales, which allows you to open up possibilities for new chords. And so an example that I really love to use is Hey Jude by the Beatles. It's, for the most part, the first 80% of the song is in that standard major chord world. So if I was to play this in the key of E, I think that they played in the key of E. I'm not exactly sure, but so we have that's a 1 chord, and your 1 is major, your 5 is major, your 4 is major. So typical major scale. Hey Jude, na, 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 na. That's a 5 chord. Na, na, na. Still in the 5. Na, 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 na. That's your 1. Na, na, to the 4. Na, 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 na. Back to the 1, then up to the 5, then back to 1. That's just 1s, 4s, and 5s. Basic standard chords in your major key. But the outro shifts to a mode called the Mixolydian mode. And you instantly know something happened. So, I mean, here's an example of it. Hey, quick pause on our regularly scheduled program for this brief announcement. If you're this far in, if you're still watching, if you're still listening, then that tells me you're not fucking around. You're serious about bringing your singer-songwriter guitar game to another level. So, I want to tell you about the Folk Guitar Masterclass, which is my full curriculum to go from bland beginner to that hurts so good folk sound with a roadmap that guarantees that every single technique is covered. It's a course with a monthly group live support for singer-songwriter guitarists who want to master the 5 essential pillars of folk guitar: expressive pick strumming, folk ornamentations, Travis picking, folk chord voicings, and expressive finger strumming. So you can put all those together and play like your singer-songwriter heroes to achieve that sound that hurts so good. In addition to that step-by-step curriculum that leaves nothing out, you also get access to weekly mentorship calls where we go deep on subjects like guitar technique, how to build a live audience, songwriting tips, and just so much more. Not to mention what I think is the coolest part about it, access to the Folk Guitar Masterclass community where we've made some great friends, we support each other, and just have a great time. So if you want to break out of the beginner's box and play like your singer-songwriter heroes by mastering the techniques that matter most without any of the guesswork, take a look at the Folk Guitar Masterclass at folkguitarmasterclass.com. The outro shifts to a mode called the Mixolydian mode. And you instantly know something happened. So, I mean, here's an example of it. Na, 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 na. That chord right there. Na, 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 hey Jude. I'll do it again. So this one's in your regular key. This is your regular one. Then we're going to this chord that's outside of the key. This is the Mixolydian funky chord. And then we're back into the key with a regular 4 and back to 1. Okay, so that is modal theory at play. And when you know the frameworks of how to do that, and they're much simpler than you might think, then you can choose these chords if you're feeling like, this is just kind of dragging, I need this to have a little bit of something different in it. You can kind of go through your options in these different modes and plug in these different chords and see what happens. So that chord is one of the most iconic uses of a mode. And just for anybody that's listening to this, if you want to use the technique, the very same technique that Paul McCartney uses in Hey Jude, think about it this way. And this is just one of a ton of different choices that you can make using modes, but this is just a simple one for you right here. So if you take any key, so like, let's just say you just figure out what key your song is in. All right, let's call it the key of G again. All right, then look up what chord would be the 7th chord in the key of G, or whatever key you're in. So just look up what's your 7 chord. And what you're going to find is that it's an F sharp diminished. And then what you do to make this Mixolydian chord, to give it that same flavor as the chord from Hey Jude, is you take that 7th chord and you lower it by a half step. So an F sharp diminished becomes an F diminished, but then make the diminished chord major. Okay, what they call it is a flat major 7. So just kind of get in the habit of remembering flat major 7. So you look up, identify your key, look up your 7 chord, and then make it flat and major. All right, and in the case of G, our 7 is an F sharp diminished. We make it flat, which is F, F sharp to F, and then we make it major, F major. All right, so imagine that I'm fucking around in the key of G, G, C, D, G, and now go to a Mixolydian flat 7. All right, so I'll go again. Here's the regular 1, to the 4, to the 5, and back to 1. go up to the 4. You like my vocals? Here's my flat 7. Yeah, then back to 4 to 1. All right, so you hear the way that this kind of has sort of like a classic rock, sort of bluesy sort of vibe. That's a Mixolydian flat 7 chord. And again, there are a lot of different chords that you can plug in to your standard major or minor progressions that if you know the system, you can just pop these things in like Legos and try them out. So that is exactly the thing that in the folk guitar masterclass we did a 6-week every one of the weekly mentorship calls we did for 6 weeks. We did a step-by-step what is actually going to become what's called the songwriting theory shortcut, like a course that I'm creating that allows you to get the same core theory tools that like legendary songwriters used. So you can kind of build those confident and surprising progressions to make you sound like you know the ins and the outs of theory. And it also is going to like through prompts you can finish the course with like a mini portfolio where you can write your own progressions. The prompts lead you through writing your own progressions in each of the 5 different modes to help you break out of that common 1-4-5 pattern and create stuff that sounds intentional and sophisticated, and you'll know exactly why they work and how you can do it in the future. That's coming in a little bit. No new. Actually, the news is I'm working on it right now, but that's not officially ready yet. But if you want to know more about that, hit me up or just kind of keep your eyes open for that. The Songwriter Theory Shortcut course. All right, last one. I don't have a name here. The email address does not give me any indication of what the name was, but I really appreciate the question. So I want to release music, but I don't want to do social media. Boy, can I relate. Is it worth it? Okay, so it depends on your goal. All right, so what I mean by that is if you want to get on the path to like make a serious go of it, take over the world, get out there and tour, have, take a swing at having millions of people love your music, then social media is almost a must. But I mean, it's not the only way, but it's just the way that like mass audience is reached. However, I built a strong touring career with very little social media presence, playing festivals, listening rooms, house shows, over 1.5 million Spotify streams. Yeah, not trying to be a jackass and just like list off accomplishments, but like the point I'm trying to make is that I've got a family. I've got a career doing this, like if that feels like more what you're about, kind of being like a part-time professional that you don't want to disappear on tour, like ruin your financial situation, torpedo the career that you have worked so hard to build, then if that is interesting to you, then I gotta say, like, no, social media is not a must for that. In any situation, if you want people to hear your music, you do need to make noise in some way. You do need to raise your hand and be like, hey, I have something I want to share. Most people just kind of default to the idea that is only social media that allows you to do that. And so, like, it's very common to think that, like, the only way is to do social media. So people hop on there, they do dumb shit. I'm guilty. Like trends that kind of like you look at a couple months later and you're embarrassed that the people you went to high school with see that stuff and you're just like, oh God, what am I doing? Man, it's not who I am. So I can relate. In my personal opinion, and based on where I'm at in my career and the things that I've been able to achieve that I'm really, really stoked on. And listen, like, I, I'm not putting my kids through college with it, but I am paying it is paying for itself plus a little bit more, just a little bit more. But I'm spending most of my time doing this, and it goes in phases. Some years I'm like so much heavier into the artist project. Some years I'm much heavier into this. Actually, this is kind of new, so um, but like you can go in phases of leaning in more, not leaning in so much. But you do not need to lean into social media if you don't want to. So like I was saying, you do need to make noise in some way if you want people to hear your stuff. There are the folks that are just like, hey, listen, I just want to record something. I want to put it on Spotify so that like my friends and family can have it. And after I'm gone, it's just like going to live there forever. Um, in that instance, absolutely not. You do not need social media. However, if you want to achieve that part time professional vibe, maybe build a local following, do some regional touring, uh, one weekend every month, every other month, then social media is helpful, but you do not need to rely on it. So, other ways that you can make noise: flyers. Like anybody that's like, flyers, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not 1995 anymore, pre 1995. Um, I want to mention that in this digital age, like the things that you do online, they're so easy to do that the barrier to entry is so low that they mean nothing. So, like, imagine flyering your town. Like, imagine you were playing a show and you put flyers everywhere in your town. You paid some artist, $50 to make a cool flyer, and you hang them up everywhere. Just the fact that that's so rare these days would make people around see the inherent value in your promotional efforts, and it would add an air of quality to what you're doing. So like, don't dismiss the analog versions that we used to do, thinking that online is the only way to do it now. So flyers, um, hitting up your friends and your family via text, uh, word of mouth, yeah, that personal outreach, all that sort of stuff. But the one thing that is very cool, and it does use social media, but it does not require that you are up there doing fucking god awful TikTok dances, um, is smart, low key, inexpensive ads. And if that's something that you haven't thought about, you could look it up. Um, or hit me up if you got any questions about that. But the idea is you make a simple ad, whether or not it's your album cover with the music playing over it, or like an iPhone in cinematic video mode, uh, like in a really cool looking place, you just playing your song. Maybe it's live, or maybe it's you lip synced to the recorded version, or whatever it is. And you spend $3 to $5 a day on it, and your goal is to lead people to a Spotify page, or a Spotify playlist that has your song on it. So like, you can either do that on Instagram and Facebook, or you can do it directly on Spotify. All to say is that if you have, like, say, I mean, most of us here, and I know you guys pretty well just through the all the thousands of people that, not thousands, sorry. I think now we're at 1,573 students or something like that, that have come through. I have gotten to know you guys pretty well, and over 80% of us have other careers that we don't want to detonate. So we're in this part-time professional vibe. So for those of us that are in that mode, and you have the ability to allocate maybe like, $100 a month. I mean, if you've got more, that's great. But if you can allocate $100 a month and create one of these ads and turn it on and just don't touch it, just leave it. Imagine like 6 months from now, all the people that you will have reached. You can grow a real audience over time. And you can either make it local, You can set the audience to local so that like maybe you could bring people to your shows in your state, or you could set it to global or national or whatever if just the Spotify audience is more important to you. So I mean there are different tactics, but like you don't need to be posting on social media every day. The ad will do the work for you if you feel comfortable with the budget allocation. Um, and then another way to build an audience is through something called a playlisting campaign, where your song comes out and you pay a company. There are a lot of them. The one that I use is called Playlist Push. And for anybody listening to this, in your course dashboard, look for the saving you money section, and there's a code that you can use. You get 7% off your first campaign. But the idea is that this is a company, a vetted company that's built relationships with playlisters, like the DJs of Spotify, and they pitch your song. You got to get accepted. They have a quality bar, which is very helpful because they don't pitch stuff that doesn't meet their standards. So, and you've taken these courses, so your material is going to be great. Just saying, you'll be fine. But anyways, they accept your song and then they pitch it to the playlisters, and the ones that think that it's going to fit on their playlist with other artists that fans will probably like your music, maybe like a playlist with Steve Earle and John Prine and the artists that just like they would all fit if that's what your music sounds like. They would place it on this playlist, and then people that are spinning those playlists, they automatically get your song played too, and then a certain percentage of them are going to be like, hey, this song is cool. They go to your artist profile, they follow you. So those are more like bursts of promotional energy that they kind of light a fire, they burn real quick, 6 weeks, and then they kind of go away because they'll eventually take your song off the playlist, because that's how their machine works. You need to continue to pay. But these are generally good to do when you first release a song, get a burst of energy, and then maybe, it's happened to me a number of different times, and thousands and thousands of artists, Spotify is regulated by an algorithm just like Facebook or Instagram. If a playlist campaign generates enough buzz and you get enough plays right away and enough people listen to a long enough percentage of your song, Spotify will start to algorithmically push your song to other listeners who it thinks will like it. That's how you end up getting like 70,000 plays, a million plays. Like, it's fucking crazy. And you're just, you work at Electric Boat in Groton and you release songs on the weekend, and then all of a sudden you've got a million spins on your fifth song that you ever released. So it is possible. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. So playlisting, playlist campaigns, and low level consistent ads. Those two ways are the easiest ways that you can get your music in front of people and start building an audience without having to do the social media circus dog on a unicycle thing or whatever. Okay. So, if any of that is interesting to you and you got questions, just email me, James at guitarlessonswithjames.com. I'm happy to shoot the shit. No charge. Yeah, I'm not saying like, hey, I'm gonna get you on an email and be like, yeah, join my one-to-one mentorship. That's not what I'm saying. So if you do have a question, just hit me up. I would gladly volley with you. So you can get some ideas and get out there and get some listeners, because what you make is important. The world needs it right now. Holy shit, we are in this like weird informational desert. Not a desert, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like we've got way too much information. Nobody trusts the information that's coming either from the left or the right, and it's just, we're all left in the middle here, just being like, I'm just trying to fucking make a living and put my kids through college and just be cool to my neighbor and like stay sane. What the hell? For that reason, songwriters and artists, especially ones that are not famous, like boots on the ground people like you and like me. We're more, our art is more important now than ever, especially if you've got something positive to say or something where we could like lower the temperature, or that there's some understanding or some kindness or some love or some anger, whatever it is. Your music is more important now than it ever has been. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. Like, I have my fucking opinions. I'm sure you do too. Uh, I am a folky and a hardcore kid at heart, so it probably wouldn't surprise you to know that I'm not fucking happy about what's going on right now. But I have respect for people that are, on any side of the aisle. And when you put out the music that reflects you and not this like heightened media induced frenzy vibe that we have going on, it breeds understanding. Like, again, it doesn't matter if you agree with me, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. You put out music that talks about how you're a real person too, and you justify your, God, I'm going off on a tangent here. All I'm saying is your opinion matters, your art matters. So use these things to your advantage to get shit out there. It's more important now than ever. We need real people giving real emotion and truth. Whew. Brighter times are ahead. I don't want to leave it as feeling dark. I truly believe. So, anyways, thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Hit me up if you have any follow-ups, and I will see you in 1 month. All right, signing out. Lakeland 2. Bye-bye.